For any homework-related queries, call us at +1 678 648 +1 678 648 4277. Visit https://www.economicshomeworkhelper.com https://www.economicshomeworkhelper.com or email info@economicshomeworkhelper.com. 1. In your course packet you will find the case Lesser Antilles Lines, the island of San Huberto. This case is useful for reviewing basic concepts of game theory and considering the implications of alternative decisions. Read the case carefully, then answer the following questions. Note: the contribution matrix in Exhibit 4 of the case is denominated in thousands of dollars. A. With reference to the game situation depicted in the matrix at the end of the case. I. What is a Nash equilibrium? Are there any Nash equilibria in this game? 2. What is a dominant strategy? Is there a dominant strategy for LAL? Is there a dominant strategy for KL? 3. What is a maximin strategy? What would the maximin strategy for LAL be? And for KL? 4. What is the best outcome for the firms? Hint: to answer this question, think about what LAL and KL would agree on if they could write a binding contract. Consider both the cases that the contract can dictate prices and that the contract can dictate prices as well as a transfer from one firm to the other. V. If LAL could somehow, irreversibly, commit to a price, would it do so? And if so, to what price would it commit? If LAL could somehow commit that it would always charge the same as KL, would it do so? 6. What would you recommend that LAL do? Why? economicshomeworkhelper.com. B. What happens if, due to an increase of world trade following a sudden deregulation wave, the market size suddenly doubles? Would that change the Nash equilibrium described above? Hint: you do not need to recalculate the payoff matrix. 2. A. Suppose the airline industry consisted of only two firms, American and Texas Air Corporation. Let the two firms have identical cost functions, C, Q equals 40Q. Assume the demand curve for the industry is given by P equals 100Q and that each firm expects the other to behave as a Cournot competitor. I. Calculate the Cournot-Nash equilibrium for each firm, assuming that each chooses the output level that maximizes its profits when taking its rival's output as given. What are the profits of each firm? 2. What would be the equilibrium if Texas Air had constant marginal and average costs of 25 and American had constant marginal and average costs of 40? 3. Suppose that Texas Air's cost advantage in 2 is based on a patented business practice. What is the minimum price that Texas Air is willing to accept to license the patent to American? What is the maximum price that American wants to pay? Discuss. B. Determine analytically the Nash equilibrium of the LAL case by going through the following steps. I. Write the equations for gross profits, i.e. not considering fixed costs, for LAL2. Using THAND for KL. 3. E. First order condition, i.e. taking the derivative and setting it equal to 0, determine the optimal PLAL for a given PKL. Determine analogously the optimal PKL for a given PLAL. economicshomeworkhelper.com. 3. Magna Company must decide whether to buy all or part of its aluminum from the Steel Corporation. At the same time, Steel must decide whether or not to provide prompt delivery, which is more costly. If Steel Corporation provides prompt delivery of the aluminum it sells Magna, then Magna will make $2 million if it buys all its aluminum from Steel and $1 million if it buys only part of its aluminum from Steel. But if Steel provides slow delivery, then Magna will lose $5 million if it buys all its aluminum from steel and lose $1 million if it buys only part from steel. If it receives an order for all of Magna's aluminum requirements, then steel will make $3 million if it provides prompt delivery and $4 million if it is slow. If it receives an order for part of Magna's aluminum requirements, then steel will make $1 million if it provides prompt delivery and $2 million if it is slow. Magna must decide whether to buy all or part of its aluminum from steel, and steel must decide whether or not to provide prompt delivery. What is the payoff matrix for this game? B. Does any player have a dominant strategy? If so, what is it? Explain. C. Does this interaction have a Nash equilibrium? If so, what is it? Explain. 4. Consider two firms, Chip and Dale. Each of them is considering whether to expand its capacity. The decision depends on the payoffs, which depend on what the other player does. Assume, for sake of simplicity, that each faces three possibilities: do nothing, DN, a small expansion, or a large expansion. The payoff matrix is given by Dale's payoff, Chip's payoff, Chip. economicshomeworkhelper.com. A. Because of the long lead times, assume that the two players' actions are simultaneous. What is the equilibrium strategy in this game? Explain. B. If one player, say Dale, preempts the other by moving first, plot the resulting game tree. What is the equilibrium strategy now? Explain. C. Does the equilibrium strategy change if Chip instead moves first? Explain how. Dale DN small large DN $36 million, $36 million $30 million, $40 million $18 million, $36 million small $40 million, $30 million $32 million, $32 million $16 million, $24 million large $36 million, $18 million $24 million, $16 million $0 million, $0 million. economicshomeworkhelper.com. 1a. Game analysis. Nash equilibrium. A pair of actions is a Nash equilibrium when each firm does the best it can, given the other firm's action. This game, as described in the matrix, has a unique Nash equilibrium with KL setting a price of $1,400 and LAL a price of $1,300. It can be seen from the matrix that with PKL equals $1,400, a price of $1,300 is indeed LAL's best response. The analogous argument holds for KL. For any other set of prices, at least one firm would be better off changing its price. 2. Dominant strategy. A firm has a dominant strategy if its profits are maximized by one and the same price level, regardless of the other firm's price. In this case, neither firm has such strategy available. There is no price level that LAL could choose, thereby maximizing its profits, regardless of KL's reaction and vice versa. 3. Maximin strategy. A firm's maximin strategy is the price that maximizes its minimum possible profit, i.e., that maximizes its profit assuming that the other firm does precisely the worst thing from your perspective. This means that KL would choose to price its product at $1,100, because this level maximizes its minimum profit, which is in this case $254. Similarly, LAL would price at $1,000, thereby maximizing its minimum payoff at $124. economicshomeworkhelper.com. The maximum set of strategies would therefore be $1,100, $1,000 and the profits $423 for KL and $310 for LAL. Their risk aversion has forced them to far from optimal pricing. 4. Contractual collusion. If the two firms can write a contract that specifies both their prices and a transfer, then any optimal contract must